today you have this fashion label. Obviously, you do have a makeup brand as well, but you do have the fashion label, which you're more known for because it's been there long.
Longer, yeah.
It was not something you always wanted to do, right? It was not something that interested you always.
No.
Talk to us about a little bit about how that came about. And
So fashion was my mum's first love. Mine was always like, I'm so gorgeous. I should be in front of the camera, and I'm half black. I should be Beyonce. That was always my like
Serena or Beyonce?
Serena, Beyonce, nothing in between. My mother was like, please sit down and find a career that you can actually do till the end of time. So I think fashion is one of those things. Or being an entrepreneur, you can do till a long time.
Yeah.
You can keep reinventing. And the joke is that I actually wanted to go to Actor Prepares, which is Anupam Kher's acting school in Bombay. And right next to it is SNDT, which is the fashion college that I went to. And there was this huge admissions open board, I will never forget, outside SNDT. And my mom and I were driving to go see Actor Prepares. And she said, oh, SNDT maybe admissions khule hain. Why don't you try that? So she was very sneaky about it. And she's like, try this. Why do you want to act? I said, no, I want to act. And she's like, you do not have an Indian face. Please do not try this. Go and do fashion. So I said, okay, I'll give the entrance exam at least. And I anyway won't get in. So I don't know anything about fashion. I have scored 100 in that entrance exam because it was like GQ basically and some sketching. So I went in there, got admitted and admission, not admitted. And the rest is history. Like literally 2 years went by and I really enjoyed being there. I also made some of my closest friends in fashion school. And there was 6 months left and we basically had to do this internship with a designer who they would place you with. And I said, I'm ready. What internship?
You were not short on confidence.
Nothing. I was like, I am going to apply to Lakme Fashion Week and be a part of the Gen Next program. So she said, I don't think you can do that. They won't take you when you're 19 years old. You have no experience. And Wendell Rodrigues was my mentor at the time. And he was the one who said, go out and do it. It'll happen. And I gave in my whatever, like submitted everything and I got in.
But you felt like you arrived? Like when Lakme
No, I
Fashion-
felt like I arrived in that show when that photo we just saw where I was like, oh, this was my second show. Because I wanted to keep going. And I think for me, that is, I don't think one should ever firstly think that they've arrived. But for me, I know that I want something when I want to keep doing it, even if I'm not seeing success. But yeah, I was very excited because it was 7 of us that made their debut. And it was amazing. It was just the most surreal feeling because I felt like, oh, I finally found something that I'm good at and I can also make some money off.
In your initial days, your mom did manage you, kind of.
She was my
She was your...
Neena ji, the Guptas have to be
Yeah,
accountant.
actually. She was many things for you.
Yeah.
She was obviously always balancing that act. And I have a father who coached me.
Wow.
So you can imagine, like spending years and years on tour together, and because of your dad, you probably know how tours are, and it's very isolated and like really restricted.
It's like a bubble.
It is, and you're with your own team. And we had to balance that relationship out because, today we have a great relationship and we had, but I'm sure it must have been challenging to have somebody who was
Also
your
a
mom,
work
but also
relationship.
doing, a work relationship with you.
Yeah, it was, I think it's weird. It feels liberating, but also restrictive
It is,
because
yes.
she was also controlling how much money I would spend. It wasn't like just
So
now
she was
because
your manager.
She was my manager and she was like, kitna kapda kharidna hai, because she was running the workshop. My workshop was in my building.
Yeah.
I had like this 1-bedroom apartment where we started the brand and that's where we did everything and she would manage that unit completely. So there was no like, do what you want, do overtime. It was run like a proper setup, like a factory. So I think it was restrictive because I was like, why don't you let me do what I want to do? And she also had a creative eye, so she had an input there. So it's like having a co-founder, but who's also your mum.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. Like,
yeah,
it's challenging.
It's challenging, but I don't know if it set me up for discipline in a very different kind of way. Like even today, I have like that mad discipline. I cannot be late. I cannot be late to anything. I can't be late to my office. And I think I also expect that level of grit and work
That
and
also
hard
comes
work.
from being born to an athlete, I think.
Yeah.
That's a very, that's the
Yeah.
discipline that sport teaches
It's a
you
different
also.
wiring.
Yeah.